e4, c5, knight f3, d6, bishop b5, check, bishop d7, bishop takes d7, check, queen takes d7, c4, knight f6, knight c3, g6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, bishop g7, f3, queen c7, b3, queen a5, bishop d2, knight c6, knight d e2, castle kingside, castle kingside, knight d7, king h1, knight c5, knight d5, queen d8, bishop c3, bishop takes c3, knight d takes c3, a6, a4, rook c8, rook b1, knight b4, queen d2, e5, f4, f6, f5, rook c7, rook f3, rook g7, a5, b6, a takes b6, queen takes b6, f takes g6, h takes g6, knight d5, knight takes d5, queen takes d5, check, king h8, b4, a5, b5, rook h7, knight c3, king g7, rook d1, rook d8, h3, rook h4, king h2, rook d7, queen c6, queen takes c6, b takes c6, rook d8, c7, rook c8, rook takes d6, rook takes c7, rook f takes f6, knight takes e4, rook takes g6, check, king f7, knight takes e4, rook takes e4, rook d f6, check, king e7, rook a6, king f7, rook a f6, check, king e7, rook h6, a4, rook a6, rook e takes c4, rook he6, check, king d7, rook takes e5, rook 7c6, rook a5, rook d6, Rook A7 check. King C6. Rook EA5. Rook D4. Rook 7A6 check. King B7. Rook G6. Rook E4. Rook B5 check. King C7. Rook F5. King B7. G4. Rook C6. Rook takes C6. King takes C6. King G3. Rook E3 check. King H4. A3. Rook A5. King B6. Rook A8. King B5. G5. Rook E4 check. King H5. Rook A4. Rook B8 check. King C6. Rook B1. A2. Rook A1. King D6. King H6. King E7. King G7. King E6. G6. King F5. H4. Rook A7 check. King H6. Rook A6. King H7. Rook A4. H5. King G5. G7.